Hello, everyone. My name is John Pastorino. I'm part of Flycast Partners. And today I want to talk a little bit about, or we're going to talk a little bit about integrations and the power of integrations and what it can add to the success of your implementations of different types of software. And today we're going to focus a little bit more on ITSM software, because that's who we are as an organization for Flycast. Flycast is an ITSM service provider. We're a value-added reseller, so everywhere from support to services to quick fixes, and then again licensing software. That's who Flycast is within the ITSM vertical. We've executed probably 5,600 different ITSM implementations, and we're primarily in the continental United States and Canada. So one of the reasons that we wanted to start talking about this specific topic is because once we do our implementations, or once we get involved with the customers and we start talking through requirements and the things associated with implementing the ITSM solution, we find a lot of requests for integrations. And it could be integrations literally into anything. It could be into a legacy system. It could be into a homegrown system. It could be into a COTS, something off the shelf. It could be into an ERP. It doesn't matter. We get asked all the time about integrations. And there's only so much we can do as an organization. You know, like I said, we're in the ITSM vertical. We specialize in the ITSM vertical. So what we did is we went out and found a wonderful partner. The partner is called Launchpad. And first, before I talk a little bit about Launchpad, I want to talk about our guest speaker today. And first of all, he's got an incredible name. It's incredible. He's a big hit at parties and tailgating events. His name is Bruce Key. And Bruce is the president and CEO of Launchpad. And I want to say a little bit about Bruce more as a person than I do about his, I guess, the technical discussion that we're going to have. So Bruce has been in the industry for an extended period of time, well over 20 years. But one thing I want to talk about Bruce is a servant leader. And Bruce, everything about Bruce is all about the people. And it's not about necessarily just the customer. It's about everybody. It's about his team members. It's about his the customer base. It's about the partners as like Flycast, but it's also about his family. Bruce is a wonderful family man. You know, he spends a lot of time with his wife and his kids. And you could talk, when you sit down and you talk to Bruce, you can just see the way he lights up when he talks about his kids and his family in general. And I've only known Bruce for about a year, but I can tell you, I feel very comfortable with Bruce. I consider Bruce my friend. And there's just a lot of different things that he brings to the partnership, and he brings to the industry that is not necessarily seen every day within a lot of other organizations. Bruce, his word is his bond. His handshake is true to the day. We know if you shake on it with Bruce, it's going to get done. And so I wanted to really talk more about Bruce as a person than about, than a leader of Launchpad, because Launchpad's going to speak for itself in a moment, and you're going to see that. But Bruce is somebody who you're going to want to do business with, and Bruce is somebody who I truly cherish our partnership together. So, Bruce, I appreciate that. Now I just want to say a few things about Launchpad. So all the different things I said earlier about the problems associated with potentially doing integrations. And when you get somebody who specializes in ITSM, integrations aren't our strong suit, and we know that. And sometimes they become too complex. I mean, we could do a one-off, we could do certain things, but when it becomes where you have multiple data sources coming into some kind of repository and you have to make sense of it, that's where Launchpad comes into play. And that's Bruce, and that's Bruce's background. So if you can go to Launchpad, you can go out to their website, which is somewhat fancy, by the way, and you can look at it and you can talk about, one of the things that they say is they take fragmented workflows and integrations and make them efficient. So like anything in business, we look for efficiencies. We look to reduce manual touch points. We look for consistencies in outcome. We look for, having the same results each and every time based upon something that we're executing. Well, that's Launchpad. Launchpad, that's their expertise. And Bruce is going to go into a lot of that in a moment. But I wanted you, and again, that's way top level about Launchpad, but that's why we established this partnership and this relationship. And we think that between the two organizations, we can bring a lot to the table to a potential customer or a pre-existing customer in different verticals. And we're going to talk about that in a moment. And so, Bruce, let me ask you, First of all, I want to say thank you again, friend. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, John, and thank you for the kind words. And we're really excited about our partnership with Flycast. ITSM space has been very exciting, and obviously from Launchpad's perspective, and also personally meeting yourself and Nathan George, the co-founder of Flycast, has been really, really awesome to watch you guys, the way that you treat your customers. And we choose our partners very carefully. Just like you said, behind the brand, the company, is the people. And we really, really appreciate all the interactions we've had so far with you. So looking forward to really diving in and talk about the ITSM, how integration can really support the ITSM customers and also Flycast together with Launchpad.
Okay, well, and Bruce, I know we only have so much time because you're an exceptionally important man, and obviously I have my festive shirt on, so I think I'm looking for something to do after this. But I just have a couple of questions, and I think they're questions that continuously come up because we're trying to understand this new space that Launchpad is in. And it's not new, it's something that's been around a long time, but you've taken it, you made it better, you put it on steroids, and obviously it's far more effective than it ever has been. And so we start talking about data integrations. In the past, there's always been traditional ways and a lot of workarounds, a lot of coding, and a lot of other things associated. How do we bring it into, is it a flat file? All those different things associated with data integration. So from your perspective, like what was the traditional method of executing data integration, and how has that changed now?
Right. Fantastic question. First of all, as everybody knows, integration as a category is nothing new. Ever since there's been databases, ever since there's been systems and software systems, applications, integration has been around because naturally, data needs to flow from system to system. And data needs to work for all the different operations within an organization so that those workflows as an operation, as an organization can work together. So traditionally, the integration and data integration and workflow automation has been done what we call in a way that's point-to-point or P2P architecture. You'll be surprised how often organizations, big or small, actually, surprisingly, even the large enterprise organizations or mid-size as they're scaling, because everyone is all very much focused on, hey, we need to get this thing done now. We need to connect our CRM system with our ITSM system, our ticketing system with our customer success team. So let's just connect them. So traditionally, that has been mostly done in a P2P. Now, what the issue that causes is the scalability and also unified central connectivity. Oftentimes, when it comes to organizations having integrations, we are brought in to evaluate and look at, I'm sure, John, from your teams, oftentimes when you're engaging in ITSM implementation projects, the customers say, look, this is a great ITSM tool, but can you make our Chronos or make our Workday information system flow through over here? Can you make our call center data to move over here, and we can automate that? So in our new way of doing things is what we call an iPaaS or ESB. iPaaS stands for Integration Platform as a Service, or ESB architecture is an Enterprise Service Bus. We have done quite a few of those type of integrations in the marketplace. We have seen that to really provide a unified connectivity for centralized enterprise-wide connectivity. What does that mean? You got low friction situations where not every single organization has brand new systems altogether, right? As an example, Salesforce is a Launchpad's client. They had old systems that have been running about 54 different applications that's running. Now, if you think about connecting those two dots, one dot to another, that's one line, one connectivity. Now you add a third dot, that's 3 lines. Fourth dot, now you're looking at 6 lines connecting all 4 dots together. That's the traditional P2P. So the more connectivity as you create, yes, you're creating more value within the organization. However, if you're going through that traditional way, P2P network, now you're looking at 54 systems that are that was in Salesforce's global organization. That includes Workday, Oracle, their own Salesforce, ADP, and all of the different systems. You're looking at easily about 1,400 to 1,500 connectivities just to connect them alone. Now, you got a situation where the cost is exponentially rising in terms of actually maintaining, running, and updating these connectivities, whereas your value is a linear increase. So that gap of the cost above the linear value increase, that creates a huge problem in terms of technical debt. Now, enter our solution, back to your question, John, what is the traditional method and what is the new way of solving it from Launchpad's perspective is that by creating the integrations through the central bus, now you're creating a many-to-many situation where if I updated one system, say Salesforce's own Salesforce CRM system, that propagates moving all the logic into the middle. All the other system within, you can reuse that logic and update. So now you have a many-to-many situation. So the feather that broke the back for Salesforce for us, for our customer is they had 4 custom fields in Oracle 1 year, and it took them, you wouldn't believe it, John, 1 year in duration of a project and about $1 million person hours just to propagate that 4 custom fields into the rest of the org. This is where we come in, really put in that new architecture for integration in place. So hopefully that explains a little bit how the traditional way of data integration to what the modern way that we're bringing to the table.
Thank you, Bruce. And so let me ask you a follow-on question. That is the value of an enterprise service bus. The traditional way, and I think a lot of people who are in attendance today are more probably apt to understand the traditional methodology where it was almost like a one-to-one, or how can we get this to work. So can you talk about the let's say the enterprise benefits of utilizing an enterprise service bus?
Right, absolutely. So there's about 2 major benefits to using the enterprise service bus. We kind of lightly touched on the first one, which is scalability. You're creating a many-to-many situation. Now, the one layer under that is about reusability. So when it comes to creating integrations, when thinking back to the first question, point to point. Now you're creating non-reusable components that's connecting, say, database or through APIs or through webhooks or whatever the methods that matters. Now, if I'm in a centralized organization in ITSM, I would potentially have my customer information living in one. I might have my internal resource and staff information living in another application. I might have my order system. I might have my ERP, my financials, and so on and so forth. Now, by reusability, what I mean is if we have connected the customer information and created one component as logic, and then we've got your order system that's connected. So now you've got a customer order system connected. So these components that sits in the middle can be reused. Now, whether you are building more into the future, creating more apps on top of these components, then you can just reuse that. Or we're simply spreading this automation and this data connectivity throughout the organization horizontally. Now I can reuse those components. Customer is a component every single time that you're going to hit your Workday, or you're going to hit your Bamboo, you're going to hit your ADP, you're going to hit your Dynamics. That same components, you build it once, reuse it multiple times. So that's number one. Number two is about low friction. So if you think about any organization, not every single department has had a similar journey, right? You probably have some homegrown, as you mentioned, John, and we see that all the time with our customers' orgs. We have some homegrown stuff. We got a new SaaS system we just bought recently that's got major API, great library, very robust. Or we have a customer that's sitting in the middle of Ohio, has a mainframe, IBM mainframe system that has an old version of SAP still running on it, right? So as you're growing as an organization, that low friction method of connecting all these disparate, whether you call it legacy systems or new systems, modern APIs, or through webhooks, you have web forms somewhere that's intaking certain things. Now you've got a variety and plethora of different things you need to take care of. So through this method and through the use of our platform, we're able to enable these IT services to be able to have very low friction and then tie into these different systems all at once. Because not everybody got $500 million to spend on things, so you can't sometimes afford to say, because this system is old, that is not mission critical, I'm going to dump it out with the baby in the bathwater, right? So you can still continue certain operations, but allows your organization to engage in this automation, progress, IT transformation. So really, readying the organization for a hybrid IT situation.
Is there anything that you've come across from a systems perspective and a request from a customer and an integration effort that you at Flycast at Launchpad have not been able to facilitate?
I would say there hasn't been any. If there are some difficult situations that we have run into, right? That's a really good question, because I would hate to stand here and wave a flag to say we can integrate everything. Where the collaboration with partners like yourselves, who are in the space, being the subject matter experts, say on ITSM, right? So there are limitations when it comes to API availability, the type of maturity when it comes to data availability, right? So what it does is that, say, if there's an API available for most products nowadays, right? You can connect through API. It allows more real-time live data rather than in the old ways. Say sometimes we are doing integrations directly with certain data or data lake or data warehouse or data tables, which there are certain security measures that we need to take. So it takes longer to do and a little bit more complex. That requires collaboration with our both clients and partners that are in that space. But I would say we haven't come across that we haven't, unless there are certain restrictions that's put upon the data availability. So and also on that similar note, and also to belabor this one, is the oftentimes when you are making a decision, this is kind of speaking to the customers that are listening to this, is that when you're thinking about integration, one of the key things is really to dig into the product that you are getting into, you're buying. Oftentimes, you'll hear, great, we got an API library, right? We got an API that you can just connect, right? The salesperson says that. Now, the question to ask, one is, how mature is the API? It's because oftentimes, by having an API doesn't mean the backend swaggers, the backend exposures, or the methods of those data are exposed either in real time or complete, right? And that's going to really give you a difference in the results that you're going to get in your future automation. Secondly, is are you going to need to pay more for API access? There are some products out there that we come across all the time. The customer, we have to constantly remind them before we engage, because we're not in the business of just cash a check. We're in there to see the long-term success of our customers and partners. Is that make sure that you understand your license structure. Sometimes these products would include a clause that if you want to use the API within their product, you have to pay a certain price more, right? So getting those pieces all well lined up and understood is really key to success, and really avoiding where you may run into the preparations for automation and integration.
Okay, great, thank you. So another question: who is Launchpad? What do you bring to the table? I think we've covered a lot of this already, but who are you, Bruce? And what do you bring?
Great. So at Launchpad, we really have a focus on integration, and The reason that we exist, just a little bit background story on it, is that, as you kindly mentioned, John, in the beginning, I've been in this space for some time. I've seen a lot of clients from White House to Coca-Cola to mentioned Salesforce, NVIDIA, General Motors. These global giants, Fortune 500 clients that I've been working with, everybody struggled with the same problem. So especially as the cloud connectivity increases and the businesses, now that we're coming out of COVID, that drive for digital transformation and adoption for automating all these workflows and processes becomes a really huge need. So where Launchpad comes in and focuses on, zoom in on, is this market problem where only used to be where enterprise level billions and billions of dollars in revenue companies is able to afford a solution that allows them to solve that data connectivity problem in a very graceful manner. So our mission at Launchpad has been to take that solution, create that platform that is able to be brought to the masses, to our medium, small, and also enterprise customers too. So bringing that to the masses is our mission. And we do that in a couple of ways. One is, obviously, is a very well-priced platform that's very comparable to the majors in our market space. That's a fraction of what the licensing cost would be for in comparison. Secondly, is that even if certain organizations can afford the license on our competitors that's been around for a long time in that integration space, the structure of the model is that you have to buy a license that usually costs you $500,000, and then you have to hire resources, whether it's through consultancy, hire in-house, and you're competing. We all know what the resource market is like today. For very rare resources and very dear price. And then after you have done the project implementation, now you have to somehow maintain the running of it, right? So both the CapEx and the OpEx are very high. Where we have come into the marketplace is bringing, as we said, bringing that solution that was only available to the enterprise multi-billion-dollar companies before to the masses. And then secondly, we are offering our platform through managed services model, where not only that we are able to work with our partners and clients to implement and build and post-production go live, there's managed services running. So you don't have to hire a team of your in-house expensive resources to maintain things, where our team have a customer engagement, customer services team to run that, is regularly daily maintained. There's proactive logging, reviews, and error handling, and what have you. So that's really what we're trying to bring to the table and what Launchpad is all about.
Okay, thank you. And then that tool that you created, that Enterprise Service Bus that you created, what's the name of that?
It's called Passport. It's
okay. That was a T. I just teed that one up for you there,
yeah,
guys.
Thank you, sir.
We're good. We're good.
Passport, yes, it's a play on name because iPaaS is a category, integration platform as a service, and Passport is PAAS port, as in passport and take it and go everywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So very, very nice. And then, so the benefits of Passport by Launchpad, overall, and at an enterprise level, what problems can it solve?
Right. So I think I'll go high and then I'll come low on that answer. The problem it solves, I think, is depending on where you are within the organization and from the lens. So at the central IT, say CIO, VP of technology level, it's about the enterprise level situation where now you have a centralized architecture that can facilitate and enable you to move your data around in a very consistent manner. and it creates a standard and coding standard and API library for every single system that you're connecting with each other. As an example, when we work with, say, recently a manufacturing client of ours, have multi-billion dollars of revenue a year. They got forests, up north everywhere, and they have systems that's been running for 30 years, 40 years. Now, in order for them to advance, they have a very advanced IT team, very modern, progressive IT team that's really trying to transform their operations. The first thing we did is really mapping out on all of the existing relational systems. There's about 60, 70 of them. Then we mapped out how they're currently connected. A lot of them are manual, and some of them are somewhat connected, say through EDI. That's a very normal way of connecting them, right? Their call centers, their product systems, their logistics. So where we really come in is, for the central IT level, creating that overall game plan on how they can move forward and modernize. And then if you go one layer lower is the development or team or maintenance team, right? So or the business stakeholders, right? So the business stakeholders, oftentimes, I think I say this with a bit of a smile on my face. Not every business stakeholder within your organization, care about how deep how things are done in the back code. They care about how smoothly things are flowing through, going from sales to the inventory, to your order fulfillment, to your 3PL, to your finance accounting, right? How they all flow, each one of your stakeholders. So at that lens, those business logic, once again, can be centralized, reused, right? And really measured through a centralized KPI. Now, the third layer is really the developers, finger on the keyboard, right? So the technical staff. So from their perspective, it's all about coding reusability that we talked about, standardization of all these connectors, and within the Passport platform, we have all the library for all of these different standards within and easy to reach, all the APIs and all the connectors that are in there, right? So now if I'm a coder, I don't need to go everywhere to look for things, and it's all centralized. And I know exactly where and how to reuse certain tools and components. So that's what we're really focused on, and hopefully that makes sense, John.
It makes perfect sense. And this is kind of a follow-on question from let's just say a realization standpoint. So based upon your experience and the things that Launchpad has executed for its customers, what do you think, is there a, I'm going to say a specific equation around, ROI on the initial investment or mean time to value that you, again, I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there something that we could potentially take away from this conversation?
Yeah. So generally speaking, we are looking at least about 400 to 500% increase in the value in the to spend ratio. So I'll give you a quick example. We were just using that forestry customer that I was talking about. So one small component out of that 50, 60 applications we were just talking about mapping. One small component is for the logistics, right? So they have trucks that every single day leaves on the north of the border, on the Canadian side of it. That's where a lot of their mills are. And crossing the US-Canadian border, trucks come to the border, US Customs. Supposedly, their old system was sending documents, bills of lading and what have you, to the US Customs at the border. The brokers will take it, processes it, with the border agents, and then the truck should be sailing through. Now, with the old way of connection and connectivities, when information, especially through EDI, that are sent through, there's no feedback, error handling. No one knows whether it failed or run. It's not really automated in a way. Now, for every hour a truck is stopped at the border with loaded lumber, and there's train loads that's on the south side of it in Washington State waiting, for every hour they're losing 5 to 10 grand in terms of the cost and the downstream impact. So what we have done is then taking that integration component and first of all, fit it into the overall architecture, and then start putting them through the automation process and the standard reusable components we have built for other parts of the organization. And it took us about 2 months to build that, and it went live in January this year, 2022. And since then, if there's any errors before the truck gets there, those are resolved ahead of time because it's proactive error handling. And also that allows the team to really kind of, go into the process improvement portion of it. The savings simply has been in millions already. No, that's just one simple small example of demonstrating the ROI. In other use cases, for instance, there's a client of ours who is in the sandwich making process, and I will not speak the name of them. Every second street corner, you'll probably find one that's very green. So all of their POS systems in North America are based on their own homegrown centralized accounting system. So, but on a monthly basis now, you got a disruption coming in from say Uber Eats or Skip the Dishes, all these food mobile applications, right? So what happens is now, if I am a artist or service provider in one of the locations, every app is represented by a tablet. So I'm getting an order coming from Uber Eats. I still need to manually use that and punch it into my POS ordering system. Now, that creates a lot of issues around safety, around efficiency. Now, at the end of the month, the different apps send their invoices to the central headquarters globally to this franchise. Now, it takes months for them to reconcile because everything is all done manual. So where we come in is really streamlining and automating that. So with the automation, now that has really created the ROI they're looking for, and increase their efficiency, reduce their error rates, and also increase their safety standards within the location.
Okay, good. And I know you have, and based upon conversations you and I have had both in Florida and obviously via the phone, I know you have a lot of different success stories that are just, I mean, it's actually incredible the amount of money and effort that you've saved some of these customers, and the scale at which you've engaged them, and brought that all into your Passport service bus and made it all work. So we can go in a lot. We can talk probably all day about that. So I know we're running out of time here, and I have one more question for you. Is I know other than having two wonderful guys working for each organization, what does Flycast and Launchpad like? Tell me a little bit about the fit. How good the fit is between the two organizations, please.
Yeah. Oh man, you can get me going on this, and I can probably talk for 3 days on this. From my perspective, ITSM is absolutely one of the critical operation areas within any organization. And we all know traditionally there has been a lot of evolutions and phases of ITSM applications that's out there on the market. And there are some really good ones now that's really come to the market with very modern, light architecture, but very powerful features. However, ITSM itself, it touches so many things from human capital to customer incident ticketing, ERP, finance, right? So it doesn't matter how good an ITSM system is, it needs to live within an ecosystem. And Launchpad, we are not, specialists in ITSM. We work with a lot of customers that have brought ITSM integration related problem for us to solve, and we're really knowledgeable about some of those workflows as needed. But we were really looking for a partner that specializes in ITSM, knows all the evolutions from the traditional, let's call them a bit legacy systems, to also embracing that modern products that's out in the ecosystem for ITSM offering in the marketplace. So when we came across Flycast, I think, Flycast has done a fantastic job in really servicing the customer base, and also that SME expertise on ITSM knowledge and implementation success. We're super impressed by that. And secondly, I think, just the fact that a lot of these applications, the ITSM applications, that to be successfully implemented, it really kind of helps to round out the edges for ITSM implementation from integration and architecture perspective. So it was a no-brainer after, especially meeting yourself, John, and the leadership team at Flycast in Florida. We just knew that it was the type of people that really, really cared. Our value systems really aligned. We are all about our people, our partners, our customers. And I know a lot of companies say that, but we want to put where our words are. And it was the same, cut from the same cloth of the people behind Flycast. We felt that just resonated, immediately. I think from the get-go, so that became a no-brainer, combining the natural fit of ITSM knowledge that Flycast has, and coupled with Launchpad's integration, really the amplifier for a lot of these systems to be able to, go into the proper ecosystem, and the people behind both companies. So I'm really excited about this, to see what we can really bring to offer to Flycast customers.
Okay, and Bruce, I apologize. I think we're at time. We only get so much time for this, but yeah. I want to echo a few things that you said. Is we at Flycast, we've had an opportunity to be, I want to say, relatively successful in the ITSM vertical, but we can only be so successful in the skills and the things that we bring to the table. And then meeting, you and your team and Launchpad in general, and how that just is another tool in our toolbox. And not only, it doesn't necessarily even benefit us, it benefits the customers. So they only have, one organization to work with. And I know that we've talked about this, and I know that we're definitely, when we speak to our customers, we talk about Flycast, we speak to our vendors, I keep saying Flycast. When we talk to our customers, we talk about Launchpad. When we talk to our vendors, we also talk about Launchpad, and really what you bring to the table, and the ease of, I'm going to say, execution once your solution has been implemented. And it just, again, it speaks volumes of the things that you discussed today. How you approach things, the traditional methodology as opposed to Passport and what it brings to the table today. I do again want to echo about you and your leadership style and the things that you bring to the table for your organization and everybody involved within your organization. And I just really appreciate it. And so first of all, do you have anything else that you would like to say before I got to do some administrative things at the end?
Yeah, no, I think I'm good to go, John.
Okay, all right. And then so wrapping this up, again, I just want to say thank you to everybody who attended today. There's a lot of different things associated with IT. It's a very fast-moving industry. There's a lot of things that are being impacted by security. And when you start talking about different data sources, security comes into play for each and every one of those things. And you can read it on the news every single day. There's some kind of breach because of a security problem and it could be a vendor, it could be an integration, it could be all those different things associated with our nightmares and things that keep us up at night. So Bruce, I want to say, thank you very much for attending today. Thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule to come talk to me. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time having us here, John.
Okay, thank you very much. And everybody else, appreciate it again. If you want any more information about this, there'll be some links in the invitation that you received and to attend the actual event. that you can click on, and we can get some more information to you. And if you also want to see who Flycast is, please don't hesitate to go to flycastpartners.com and go to our website. And you'll also see some things about Launchpad. You'll see some things that we talk about doing things together, and then some of the other products or some of the other services that we offer in the ITSM vertical. But in saying that, truly appreciate it. And if there's anything that we can help anybody with, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you.